Ever wondered how a promising athlete's career could tragically end after just one fight? Today, we're diving into the story of Prichard Colón.
I'm Garrett, curious and ready to explore this intense topic with you all.
And I'm Leah, excited to shed light on Prichard Colón's story today. Welcome to Laid Back Learning with Leah and Garrett.
All right, let's set the stage for this one. The rise and fall of Prichard Colón Melendez, a gifted Puerto Rican boxer whose life changed in a single night.
This one's been on my mind. I remember watching a fight once where one boxer kept getting hit behind the head. At the time, I didn't really grasp how dangerous that was. Later, hearing about Prichard's case, it clicked for me that those illegal shots are illegal for a reason. It's not just rule breaking, it's about protecting the most fragile part of our bodies, our brains. That realization stayed with me.
Let's dig into this. Quick definitions to ground us. A rabbit punch is an illegal strike to the back of the head or neck. It's banned in boxing because it can cause serious brain or spinal injury. Now, about the fighter at the center here. Full name, Prichard Colón Melendez. That two-surname format follows Hispanic naming customs. He was born in Maitland, Florida in 1992, but he identified and competed as Puerto Rican after moving to the island as a child. His nickname was Digit, a play on his height and the way he, dug in from range. Early on, he looked every bit the rising prospect.
Right? He built a perfect start as a pro, 16-0, and he kept a high pace early in his career. That kind of schedule, lots of fights in 2013 and 2014, is common for prospects who want experience and visibility. It also means a lot of training and sparring in between. And I love that his nickname, Digit, actually came from the Albergue Olímpico in Salinas, Puerto Rico, where so many island athletes sharpen their skills.
Going back to his beginnings, at around age 10, his father, Prichard Colón, moved him and his younger sister to Puerto Rico so he could compete for the island. His mother, Nieves Melendez, and his older brother stayed in Florida. That split shows the sacrifice angle you see in elite youth sports. He trained at the Albergue Olímpico, picked up the nickname Digit, and started to rack up amateur wins.
He really did. He won gold at the 2010 Pan American Youth Championship at 64 kilograms. That's a big regional stage for young fighters. In 2012, he tried to qualify for the London Olympics, facing Gabriel Maestre, a Venezuelan boxer who later became notable on the international scene. He lost in the third round there, which happens even to future stars.
After that, he turned pro in 2012 with a deep amateur record of 170 wins and 15 losses. That number tells you he'd seen a lot of styles. He debuted in February 2013 with a first-round knockout in Cataño, Puerto Rico, and kept stacking wins with a lot of stoppages. That builds confidence and gets promoters to take bigger swings with matchmaking.
By 2014, he was fighting constantly, 12 times across 2013 and 2014. He mixed in decisions too, which showed he could manage distance and pace. That's important because it proves you're not only a finisher but also a ring general when the finish doesn't come.
Fast forward to 2015. He beat veterans like Hector Munoz by decision, got stoppage wins over Daniel Calzada and Michael Finney, and then there's Vivian Harris. Harris is a former title challenger. Stopping him in 4 rounds in Toronto was his most notable win to that point. Some records list that Harris fight as occurring in September 2015. Sources differ on the exact day, but the venue and result match.
And that Harris fight came about a month before the bout that changed everything, which matters. Short recovery windows can add up. The October 2015 fight was against Terrell Williams. Williams was the opponent, added late after another matchup changed. The event was at Eagle Bank Arena in Fairfax, Virginia.
Let's walk through that night. Early and often, Colón complained about rabbit punches. Remember, shots to the back of the head or neck are illegal because of the risk to the brainstem and those bridging veins inside the skull. He told the referee, Joseph Cooper, about it. The reported response was, "You take care of it." That's the opposite of what a fighter needs to hear. Referees are there to enforce rules and keep fighters safe.
And it got messier. Colón himself was penalized 2 points for a low blow, so the bout's official scored penalties went one way, while the alleged rabbit punches went largely unaddressed. That imbalance can change behavior in the ring. Frustration creeps in, technique frays, and fighters might exchange at bad angles where the back of the head is exposed.
In round 9, Colón suffered the first knockdown of his professional career. Between rounds, he told the ringside doctor, Dr. Richard Ashby, that he felt dizzy. Dizziness is a red flag symptom. It signals possible concussion or worse. According to reports, Ashby believed he'd shake it off and cleared him to continue. I get that ringside calls are fast, but man, that's a tough one to hear in hindsight.
Then the corner confusion. Colón's team mistakenly removed his gloves, thinking the fight was over, which triggers an immediate disqualification via corner retirement. In boxing, that's when the corner stops the fight, and if they break procedure like pulling gloves early, it ends on the spot. His corner also said he was incoherent and dizzy, which are serious neurological red flags.
Moments later, he was helped to the dressing room by his mother, Nieves. He vomited, then collapsed. He was rushed by ambulance to Inova Fairfax Hospital. Imaging there found a left-sided subdural hematoma measuring 1.5 centimeters with a 1.2 centimeter midline shift. In simple terms, that's bleeding between the brain and its outer covering, and the brain had shifted off-center. A shift that large signals life-threatening pressure.
Surgeons performed an emergency hemicraniectomy. That's when they remove part of the skull to let a swollen brain expand outward, reducing pressure. Even with that, the damage was severe. He was in a coma for 221 days and afterward remained in what doctors call a persistent vegetative state, awake cycles without conscious awareness. He never regained speech.
He lived with his mother in Orlando, Florida, receiving around-the-clock care. There were small glimpses of responsiveness. In 2018, his mother shared a therapy video where he followed commands and used a computer to communicate in limited ways. Assistive tech can sometimes track eye movements or simple inputs to let a person select responses. It's not conversation, but it can be a bridge to yes or no or basic choices.
Meanwhile, the legal side began. By 2017, his parents filed a lawsuit seeking more than $50 million in damages from Dr. Richard Ashby and the match organizers, alleging negligence across officiating and medical decisions. By 2025, the case had not gone to trial, and his mother doubted it would ever be resolved. That limbo is its own kind of pain for a family already caregiving full-time.
Meanwhile, public opinion landed hard on Terrell Williams. He gave a 2017 interview where he refused blame. Over the years, the backlash was intense enough that by 2026, most of his social media presence had been deleted. And for a measure of recognition, Colón was later named an honorary WBC world champion, symbolic, but it showed how the sports community tried to honor him.
And then, the hardest update. In August 2026, his father announced that Prichard had died at age 33. After so many years of care and small steps in therapy, that news brought the story full circle in a heartbreaking way.
So here's the unresolved question that hangs over this. Who bears responsibility in a sport where risk is part of the deal, but safety rules exist to manage that risk? The referee, Joseph Cooper, had tools like warnings, point deductions, even disqualification for rabbit punches. Using them early might have changed the course of the fight. The ringside doctor, Richard Ashby, heard dizziness. In a setting like this, the cautious move is to stop it. I lean toward saying both roles fell short of the safety-first standard.
I hear you, and I feel that too, but I also see a bigger web. There's the compressed schedule with a tough fight about a month before. There's the late addition of this bout after another fighter, Andre Dirrell, withdrew from a different matchup. Late card reshuffles constrain logistics and prep, even for officiating and medical briefings. The corner miscue with the gloves happened right as symptoms were escalating. So yes, individuals had duties, but system-level safeguards seemed thin that night.
Why do you think the system part matters most here, if the in-ring calls are where the rubber meets the road?
Because systems create the conditions for better decisions. If a late addition compresses time, then you compensate with extra checks. For example, emphasize illegal strike enforcement in pre-fight briefings. or set a ringside protocol where reported dizziness is an automatic stop. That way, even when a single official has an off night, the structure still catches major risks. It's like redundancies in aviation. You do not count on one person catching everything under pressure.
That's a solid point. I still struggle with the doctor's call. Dizziness in round 9 after complaints about back-of-the-head shots is not vague. In medicine, you've got the concept of duty of care. In plain terms, doing what a reasonably careful professional would do. In a combat sport, erring on the side of stopping a fight is defensible. You can always run it back another day, but you can't undo brain bleeding.
Totally. And the referee's line, "You take care of it," is rough to hear. That can push fighters to self-police, and retaliation is the last thing you want when safety is already fraying. Maybe the fairest view is this: multiple small failures stacked, illegal shots not curbed, a penalty that went the other way, a medical green light with a red flag symptom, a corner error amid a crisis. Each one alone might have been survivable. Together, they formed a cascade.
And the law has to untangle that cascade, which is why the lawsuit stalled. Proving who breached what standard and that the breach probably caused the harm is hard when so many events are unfolding in seconds. Not gonna lie, that complexity is frustrating when the outcome is this tragic.
Real talk. Wouldn't it be great if a deep dive documentary series really unpacked boxing's toughest controversies, using cases like Colón's to trace every decision point, show the medical science in accessible terms, and spotlight reforms that actually work? I think that could shift culture in a way that lectures never do.
Okay, counterfactual time. What if the referee had immediately penalized or even disqualified Terrell Williams early for repeated rabbit punches? If that happens, I can imagine the fight gets reset in tone or ends outright. In that world, maybe Colón leaves Fairfax annoyed about controversy, but still 17-0. His team lines up another step-up bout, and we're talking today about a career trajectory, not a tragedy.
And if that strong enforcement had become a norm across cards, we might see fewer gray area clinch exchanges and more clean boxing. There's a policy ripple, too. A visible disqualification for back-of-the-head shots sends a message through gyms and promotions. Coaches adjust, fighters adjust, referees feel backed by precedent. Over time, those tiny shifts reduce the odds of the exact mechanism that caused Colón's subdural hematoma. Rotational forces that tear bridging veins. That's not eliminating risk, it's turning the dial down.
And maybe, just maybe, the compressed schedule gets more scrutiny too. If you fought a tough bout a month before, matchmakers and commissions could build in mandatory longer rest when there's significant head contact, even without a formal concussion diagnosis. I know that's tricky to standardize, but it's worth exploring.
Here's a simple ad while we're imagining. Make reported dizziness an automatic no-go. Define it clearly for fighters and corners. If you say dizzy, the fight stops and a full evaluation happens. It removes the social pressure to tough it out and treats a symptom like the emergency beacon it is. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Prichard Colón's story.
Stay curious and keep exploring, everyone. Until next time.